All right. How's it going, everybody? I'm just here for another stream. Don't have a particular subject or or topic here. So, I'll take questions and comments as they come in. Um, Bear with me a minute. I just gotta rinse my hands real quick. I'll be back in about 30 seconds or so. All right, there we go. There we go. Christ. All right. Yeah, walk away from the ship, and it's still dripping. So I figured that out. Let me grab my tripod over here. We should be good. Hey, how you doing? Somebody named Free Peoples of Middle Middle Earth. Speaking of Middle Earth, um, shit, I gotta get that trilogy. Right, Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogy. Years ago, I actually had the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I lost those. So planning on getting those. But actually, I was looking at the Walmart the other day. I was happened to glance through the movie section they had there, and I actually found the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogy together for $20. So you're basically paying $10 for each of them, right? But you gotta get them together. It's like, damn, that's not a bad deal right there. That's 6 movies for $20, and that's a pretty good deal. So I'm gonna be picking that up in the near future here. Checking something backstage. Yeah, you're right. Said it's an awesome deal. Yeah, it is, man. I remember I first purchased the Lord of the Rings trilogy for $10, which again wasn't bad at all. But I got that. I want to say back in like 2012, right? 2012 or 2013. I got that, and I haven't had any of the Hobbit movies, but I did watch all of them though. So I have seen all 6 of the movies, but I certainly do plan on buying the 2 trilogies in the near future for $20. I mean, hell, you can't beat that. For an example, I went on Amazon just out of curiosity. I wanted to see what they were selling for on there. And I kid you not, they wanted like $45 for the same thing. This guy said, I paid YouTube like $60 to $80 for all 6. Damn, that's crazy, man. $60 to $80. I mean, shit, for me, that's a whole month of food right there. But yeah, I hear you, man. That's damn. That's they robbed you right there. Oh, and speaking of that, right, buying the movies or games online, like say for instance, recently there's been this whole issue with the Call of Duty. They removed Modern Warfare 2 and 3 from the hub. I don't know if any of y'all played it, but if you put the disc in, load the game up, it gives you like a whole hub of all of the available games. And for some dumbass reason, they made it to where now you got to like buy the game again or re-download it again. I think myself, I was like, well, what the hell? Why do I have to do that? I mean, I literally put the disc in for the game I want to play. Why are you telling me I have to download it again? I can play these other games if I purchase them, like, Modern Warfare 3, which I don't own that. Um, or Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which is like their newest one, or, Warzone, or, all the other shit. But it's just weird. It's like, why won't y'all let me play the game that I literally put into the device to play? It's like, excuse background noise. But it's like I can understand if it's these other games that I don't have a physical copy of or that I didn't purchase on there. But for the game I literally have the disc for, you're gonna tell me to re-buy it or re-download it again. It's bullshit. It's ridiculous. And then I end up going through the process of downloading it again, which literally took like 3 hours to do, of course. And then lo and behold, I load it up, and then now they ask me to purchase the shit again. Think to myself, what the hell? Y'all want me to pay you $45 again? This is some bullshit. They need to, get their act together over there. That's all I can say, man. They got now to get their act together. I don't know that, Mr. Tony. Yeah, I know that's you, Mr. Tony, in the chat. Right, but shit, I don't know the answer to that question, Mr. Tony. Tony thought that he could could sneak in here. Nah, I caught you red-handed, man. Yeah, what's that cat? Right, Tony. Right, for what's his channel? Tony, it's time to wake up, man. That dude, it's a knucklehead. Dude's basically, well, I believe, Jesus this, Jesus that. Jesus is all about, loving everybody. It's like, nah, man. You're just there's nothing different between you and just a regular Catholic, right? There's like no difference between you, right? Y'all believe the same bullshit and repeat the same bullshit. But truly, most Christian denominations are very similar to one another. While they might have subtle differences, such as, say, for instance, maybe about like, do you got to keep the laws, or, what type of laws you got to keep, or about how they practice certain ceremonies or traditions, those they might have different, but the same message is the same across the vast majority of the denominations, such as, if you're bad, you'll die and go to hell. If you're good, you'll instantly go to heaven. Jesus is that white character that everybody has up in the wall, right? Every grandma has that white Jesus hanging in the, picture in their room, right? Every church holds to that image as the true Christ. All salvations for every person in the world, and so on and so forth, right? So while there are some differences between congregation to congregation, many of them share the same values and principles that I just laid out there. Man, I can't believe that there's people on here paying $50 a month for this StreamYard service. Like, I believe Ryan from Ryan Apologetics, he pays $50 a month for this streaming service. And well, whatever, bro, whatever. I'll just refer to you as Tony. I'll just refer to you as Tony. He said that a couple other channels think he's Tony. Well, bro, you understand why? Because you literally have the same name, right? But yeah, bro, that's why everybody calls you Tony, because you have the same channel name as him. You know what I'm saying? So obviously it seems like you're the same. For sure, what was I saying? Oh yeah, about the StreamYard. But yeah, man, StreamYard used to be $25 a month, but now they want 50 damn dollars a month. And you'd really only get like a couple benefits with that. I mean, of course, you get unlimited streaming time, which is good. You get overlays. You can have 10 people on stage. You can promote your icon up in the right corner. Um, and stuff like that. Brother said, "Life is expensive, ETT. I have 4,000 in monthly bills. It's ridiculous." Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. Damn, 4,000 monthly bills. I mean, Christ. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. It's hard living in America today. I see there's people around the world who are living in like the Philippines or Thailand or Jamaica, so on and so forth, who are able to survive on like 800 to 1,500 a month. Again, rents very affordable over there. Electricity, internet, the food itself. It's very affordable in some of these other countries. Like hell, if you were to say maybe if you saved up like 30 to 50 grand and then move to one of them countries, you can have a decent life, living on that amount of money. Like there's a whole trend I see on YouTube where, dudes retire and then they take their entire, life savings and pensions and, SSI checks and, move over to the Philippines and, live off of all that for, the remaining years of their life. A lot of them, you got to give them credit. They're actually doing a pretty good job. A large majority of them. Not everybody has the success over there, but, a large amount of people who do take that leap to change, are actually doing okay. I mean, over here, man, so bad there's people out here that are in their 80s and 90s working. Like I saw once when I went to Walmart, there was a bagger there, the people that bag groceries, and she was 90 years old. Shit, 90 years old and still out packing groceries at Walmart. Yeah, that's a bullshit right there. Time to wake up said someone on KJ's thought I was Tony. A video game streamer had a couple of guys that thought it was Tony too. It's funny. When you say KJ, you talking about KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever channel? That's the only KJ I know. As far as him, I mean, I've been watching KJ for, well, to be fair, it's not on. It's on and off, right? I don't watch him like every couple months, but I've known about his channel for at least 10 years, right? I've known about him and watched some of his content for at least 10 years. I do disagree with the amount that he teaches, but there are some that he says which are interesting and informative. So you got to take the meat and leave the bones. One thing I would tell you is on YouTube, you got to take everybody with a grain of salt, right? Take everybody with a grain of salt. Don't just believe what everybody says about whatever the subject is. Take information from both sides. Like, say, for instance, like if it's a debate about maybe salvation, I'll listen to the Christian view, listen to the Israelite view, and, go from there. Or whether it's like a conspiracy, I'll listen to both sides of information and, come to a conclusion based upon that. Like shit, one thing I've seen recently is this new trend from like TikTok. I believe it's called the Mountain Dew conspiracy, right? And the guy believes that like, all these different cans of Mountain Dew, the designs and flavors. He's like, oh, they all have like symbolic meanings behind them, for like world events and whatever. It's like, bro, I think you're going, a little bit too off, a little bit off the deep end here. Like, don't get me wrong. Of course, there's predictive programming and, you know, um, truth in movies, lies in the news, and, stuff like that. Of course, they hide Easter eggs, for lack of better terms, everywhere. That's true. But to sit there and tell yourself that, there's a massive conspiracy behind just the logo on the drink can, I mean, I think some people are going a little bit too far, man. Some guys are getting a little bit too carried away with their conspiracies and shit. You know what I'm saying? Now some guys need to take a chill pill. His brother said, I don't even have a permanent address. I'm currently staying in Airbnbs. Yeah, I hear you, man. Sometimes that's the way to go. Christ himself, if he was around today walking the earth, he would be considered a couch surfer. Because when you read the Bible, it says that foxes have holes and dens to lay in, but the Son of Man doesn't even have anywhere to rest his head. Right? He didn't have his own home. Right? So he was like basically crashing with whoever he could. Right? Each and every other day. Right? Stay at this apostle's house. Stay at this lawyer's house. Stay at this other person's house. That's basically what Christ was doing with his life. Right? He didn't have a permanent residence. He was just staying with one person this night, another person that week, and so on and so forth. Another thing I've been looking into is these container homes out here. This is nothing new. I remember back when I was like maybe 10 or 11 years old, this was a trend back then too. About buying two or three shipping containers for a couple grand each and just transforming them into a small home. Right, look that up on YouTube if you don't know about it. You can find 100,000 videos about the topic. It's like, yeah, that's not bad. It's not a bad idea if you get two or three of them. Just have hire some people to weld them together and transform the inside into a livable space. I mean, I wouldn't go about stacking them. That's a whole nother story. Or burying them. Right? Perhaps you could get away with stacking them if it's done right. But as far as like putting them in the ground like a bunker, because that's what some people, like some preppers on YouTube, try to do that. They'll, spend 4 or 5 grand on a used container and, bury it in the ground, do a couple renovations to it to make sure it's a workable bunker. But they don't remember to consider that the weight of the dirt might, crush it from the sides, among, other issues that could arise. Look, even that knucklehead Mr. Jill made it by the stream today. How you doing, my friend, Mr. Jill? He said, I noticed something. Only cities ran by Democrats were considered to be Babylon or Iraq. I'm not sure where you get that from. Babylon is the United States, according to the Bible. Of course, you had the ancient city of Babylon, which was located over in Iraq, which you can read about in the book of Daniel. Right. So yeah, there's that Babylon over in Iraq. But to say that it's like one political group that runs Babylon, like like he's trying to say there. I mean, I'd say you're going a little bit off there. He said Bagger is also known as a grocery clerk. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Hoping that the background noise is not too bad for y'all, man. The streets over here where I'm at, they're busy all damn day, right, in all hours of the night. Let me see. But man, going back up to what that one brother said earlier about how he paid $60 to $80 for all six of them. Man, that's brutal, man. But I know what you're saying. Like say for instance, I was looking on oh, what's it called? Not Netflix. Shit, I can't remember the name of it. It's like a movie renting website, or you're able to watch. I believe it's Prime, right? Yeah, it's Prime. And they were saying, oh, you could watch, Jurassic World Rebirth for $25. You could rent it. Thinking to myself, rent it for $25. Wait, what the hell are renting it for 25? I mean, shit, if I'm paying that much money for it, I may as well be able to own the shit. You know what I'm saying? Remember a couple months back, I went to see that Minecraft movie, and you go there, and literally for a small ass popcorn bucket of a creeper and a little Chinese plastic cup, they want damn $24 for that shit. And they were nearly sold out of them. People were buying that shit. It's like, wow, people just have money to waste like this. People have money to just spend on bullshit. Shows you, man, some people out here, are rolling in that cash. Meanwhile, there's people like myself who have to, you know, uh, check all the groceries they have at the Dollar Tree because they might have to put one or two things back at the damn Dollar Tree. But there's people out here, spending money on bullshit, right? Shows the divide in this country. Now, it's getting to a unsustainable level, the divide in America between the upper class of the society and the lower class of the society. And anybody that's not willing to acknowledge that, that person just blissfully ignorant and, just doesn't know what's going on. It's just that simple. There we go. Hell, I'm trying to get used to this StreamYard thing again because I haven't done well, I did a stream the other day, technically, but I haven't done it in like a whole month besides that. So I'm just trying to remember where all these, slogans and shit are. I recently got a Fire Stick, so I hooked that up to my TV over here. So I just been binge watching YouTube on the TV. It's funny to say YouTube on the TV because I was looking at my YouTube statistics, in the studio, and they were saying, oh, in the last, 3 months, you got like 600 views on the TV, right? So 600 viewers were watching my video on the TV. It's just funny to say that, right? Well, YouTube on TV. I mean, I remember when I started watching YouTube, there was no such thing as YouTube on TV. Well, perhaps unless you were able to hook a computer up to the TV with, some type of connection cable. I've seen that done before. But now you literally got the damn, app on the TV that you can just sign in and, watch your stuff on there. And it's actually not too bad actually. Of course, in my circumstance, the reason I had to get the Fire Stick is the PlayStation 4. When I hooked it up to the TV, it would always give me an issue going on YouTube. Like it would always pause every 30 seconds, and it was something wrong with my controller, I think. Right. But I couldn't figure out how to fix the damn problem. So I'm like, okay, well, I know that, Amazon's doing this, price reduction thing. I forget what they call it, like some type of, price reduction for electronics on Amazon. I think it's like Prime Day or something like that. And was able to get a Fire Stick for like what, $20, $22, down from $50. So fortunately I was able to fix the problem, and now the TV works smoothly without any problem. Now the only difficult part is Say, for instance, I have the TV in a small little ass space. Matter of fact, hold on. I'll actually show you what I'm talking about. Let me just get a shirt on here. Um. Oh shit. Okay. All right. Here, I gotta take my phone out the case real quick. So bear with me for a second. All right. All right. So let me see. All right. There we go. Excuse my messy setup here, but this is what I'm working with here. Just an overview of my little, workspace. And do excuse it for being in what's it called? A portrait mode, I believe it is. I don't really use the back camera on the phone, so I, can't really do a whole lot with the settings, so do excuse that. Don't believe I'm able to fix that. I don't think so. But this is good enough, right? This is good enough. So the problem I got is I can't even really get back there. But the Prime Fire Stick is plugged into the TV here. So I literally have to shift the whole damn TV if I want to switch out my PlayStation with the Fire Stick. So it's one big annoyance and bullshit that I have to deal with. You know what I'm saying? One little thing I'll show y'all as well, which I plan on doing a video on it as well, but I'll just show it why I have the screen open here. Is I have this little thing I actually made. I'm not gonna show it here, but you could actually take it off and like hang it on the wall. But it's not too bad, right? Not too bad. It's I painted it myself. I just got two of the Dollar Tree you know wooden crosses. They come plain, and I was able to figure that out myself there. And I got this one up here on top of my the scriptures there. I got this thing. I built this myself. Didn't really do the back, but I didn't have enough paint. But I added this little hook here. You're able to see it. This little hook, and I'm able to hang my necklace that you see me wearing the videos on there. So literally that whole thing I made for like $7. Right, $7 for that. Now, wow, what wasn't too bad. It was not too bad. But yeah, that's a sneak peek, I guess we'll say, behind the scenes, and what what my workspace looks like over here, in case anybody was wondering. But there you go. So let me see. Hey, how you doing, John? Long time no see. Said taxation is extortion. Yeah, taxation is extortion. Right, you're right on that. It's like how is it that say for instance, like when I was working back at the trailer park, I had to take $8 an hour instead of 10, which they offered me 10, but I had to take 8 because a certain situation bullshit situation going on. I didn't have want to pay tax on what I made, right? So I opted to take $8 instead of 10 because even if I got 10, I'm really just making 8 because they're taking the $2 out of that if you do the math for it. So I just opted to take $8 instead of 10 an hour because then on $8 an hour you don't have to pay tax on it. But if you make 10 an hour, you do got to pay tax on it. So it wasn't like a full-time thing. It was only something I did like maybe 2 days a week, right? So again, the whole situation and whole system, it's all bullshit and corruption. My generation, we've had enough. We've had enough of the corruption. We've had enough of the bullshit, and we're tired. Yes. Hey, TT, is 50,000 a year a good income where you're at? No, 50,000 is not a good income. Um, I would say a good income here is 100 grand, right? If you're not making 100 grand, then that's not good. Now, could you live on 50,000 a year? I mean, you could probably get a small trailer or rent a room from somebody and be able to get by that amount of money, and all the other bills that you gotta, pay throughout the year or whatnot. But but yeah, that's not enough to like, rent a decent place out here. So no, from where I'm at, if you want to be doing okay, you got to be getting at least 100 grand a year to be okay. Said okay, where I'm at, this is low income. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Well, it's if you don't mind me asking, where are you from, by the way? Are you from the states? Are you from overseas? Where are you from? If you don't mind me asking. I'll say I'm around New York area, or I'm around New York area. Of course, I'm not going to put the exact location like Peregrine. Oh, people could come out to my house and, confront me there and talk live. But then down the knucklehead a couple months later, he's like, "Oh well, ETT can't even use my name on stream. He's doxing me." Knuckleheads, what the hell are you talking about? Dumbass, you literally put your home address on YouTube so people could come out to your home and have a live discussion with your dumbass. And now you're pissed off that people are even using your name? Come on, that's some bullshit right there. That's a phony baloney right there. And anybody that's not willing to acknowledge that, well, they're just docile and ignorant. They said Bay Area, was that California? Oh yeah, California, man. Oh, yeah, that's California is hella expensive. No, there's shit out there that's like 5 grand a month to rent, right? A two bedroom studio apartments, like what, over 2 grand a month? Believe it or not, even up here around New York, there's even small homes for rent that are like, 4,000, even homes up to 10 grand a month out here. Look up a channel called Drew Binsky. He recently did a video like maybe a month or two ago about New York's smallest apartments. Check that out and you'll see what I'm talking about. Right, these little ass like coffin homes, if you're familiar with the term, right? In China, they have something called coffin homes. And these things are like maybe two of them put together, if that. It's wow, it's crazy, man. He said very close to Sanford University. Yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of that one. Universities are, they're just a waste at this point, man. Everybody out here is going to college, but getting 200,000 in student loan debt. Just ain't worth it. I mean, hey, man. As I said, my advice today, if I had to give everyone my personal advice, I'd say don't get married, don't have kids, and live a minimalistic lifestyle. That's my personal advice. Don't get married, don't have kids, live a minimalist lifestyle. Now, of course, for every man, his circumstance could be different. Somebody might be already married and have two children. Obviously, they can't go by that life that I laid out there. If you are a millionaire, perhaps you could go get two women and be able to provide for them without problem. So everybody's circumstance is different, so that needs to be taken into consideration. But, in the day and age we're living in right now, it might just be smart to be a single man. It's hard enough out here to provide even for yourself, the bare necessities anymore. So how much more difficult would it be, for having a wife and a child? So a lot of guys out here, man, are just staying single, which again is not a bad idea today. And then on the other hand, do you really want to bring children into this bullshit, messed up world that we live in today, especially living in the end times that we're in? Is really worth bringing children, into this messed up world? Perhaps not. He said, Shalom, King. It's Bible Defender. How you been holding up, King? Hey, Shalom, Bible Defender. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, man, I'm doing okay. I mean, I wish I could be doing better, but just take everything one day at a time. That's what I'm saying. But yeah, hope you're doing okay, Bible Defender. Hopefully, we'll bring you on stream another time, man. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I missed a lot of comments here. All right, let me see. He said we used to rent a room for 1,400 a month, which is a steal. I mean, in your area, that's not bad, right? In California, 1,400s seems like a reasonable price. Because as I said, I know guys over there are paying like over $2,000 a month for a small studio apartment there. So yeah, 1,400 in California is not bad. Yeah, sorry to hear that. So that's why I'm now staying in Airbnbs. Yeah, I hear you, man. You know, one of the challenges is trying to downsize and get rid of stuff. Like say for instance, is there's something on YouTube I recommend checking out. It's called not only Minimalism, look them up, the Minimalist podcast. I recommend listening to what they say on there. Take them with a grain of salt, but a lot of what they say is very educational and interesting. Um, but one thing they do is there's a game they play called the minimalism game, right? 30-day minimalism game. So every day, say if it's a month, you get rid of that many items. On day one, you get rid of one thing, day five things, on day 15 things, on day 24 things, so on and so forth. At the end of the month, if you keep up with it, you'll get rid of nearly 500 items. So that's a good start of somebody's, a borderline hoarder, watching. It's a good thing to take into consideration. Me recently, I've probably donated in the last 2 months. I've probably donated, I want to say, 6 or 7 boxes of stuff. 6 or 7 boxes of stuff I've donated. Right, what do you drop it at the Goodwill if you got that in your area, or some type of thrift shop? Right, all of them are eager to take what you give them for free because they'll just sort through it and sell what they want and throw out what they don't want. So it's a win-win situation for them, and you win too because you get rid of the shit. You know what I'm saying? So he said, I already did that. When I moved out, I donated half thoroughly, if not more, of my belongings. Even my Lord of the Rings Lego collection that I played plenty of freckles for. Oh, that brings back my nostalgia right there. Lord of the Rings, Lego collection, man. I had those things. I had them Lord of the Rings Legos. I had that what was that castle? Not Hogwarts, that's Harry Potter. Um Helm's Deep, right? And the Orcais and Mines of Moria and the Hobbit sets. Oh man, I had all those, man. You know, years ago I sold all my Legos, right? When I was 14, what I did was I sorted two enormous bins of Legos into individual like parts and pieces, right? I took 2 months of my time and I sorted through every single Lego piece. There had to be literally like 2 million pieces there that I sorted by hand into, color, shape, and piece. And then I neatly put them into, what's it called? Into Ziploc bags. And I got $800 for it. Now, I could have got a few thousand for it, but you know what? Somebody threw out all of my boxes and all of my Lego instruction books that I kept somewhere. Somebody threw them all out, so I lost out on like $2,000. Because if you had those, people would know what sets you have and could know how to put them together and resell them. So I got left over, but at least I was able to get $800. But pissing me off, it could have been, 3 times more than that. As far as the figures, I mean, I had like, at least $500 of it was the minifigures alone, right? They're worth a lot of damn money. Kicking myself in the ass, hoping that I would have kept a couple of those that are worth some money. I had some that are now worth like $50, $60, man. But unfortunately, I don't have them anymore. But yeah, I remember those, man. Oh, using iPhone voice to text. Okay, that's fine. Yo, yo, how you doing? Oh man, sucks, man. You could have listed them online and try to get a few bucks for those. Says it's been a while since you streamed. Yeah, I mean, I did do a stream. I think 3 days ago, but my stuff's shadow banned, right? So you don't get notifications when I do a stream because YouTube censors my content, right? So, like, say for instance, to catch me live, typically you just got to get like you got to get lucky and just like see the video on YouTube as you're scrolling and click on it. But YouTube doesn't really send out notifications very often because channels like mine, they shadow ban. I gotta go on mute for just a second. There we go. Let me see. Lego icons. Yeah, I've seen those. I've seen them. Yeah, I've never had any of them icon sets, but I had the original. What were they like? 2012 released Lord of the Rings sets. Said I did keep the Shire. It's still an open and storage facility. Yeah, that's a good one, man. You want to hold on to that. Man, I wish I would have held on to some of them sets. Like I had some of them Pirates of the Caribbean ships, Black Pearl and Queen Anne's Revenge. Man, them things are selling for $800 to $1,000 right now. Especially if they're new in the box. What some people are doing is it's called Lego investing, right? The Lego investing, you invest money into buying Lego sets and then say in 3 or 4 or 5 years you sell them for double or triple the amount that you paid, because they don't make them anymore. So collectors who want the sets, they'll be willing to pay 3 times the price because you literally can't buy them anymore because they don't sell them. Right. So again, it's not a bad idea. I mean, I technically started that, but I literally only have one set. Right. I literally have like one Lego set I picked up, just to start. But but yeah, it's definitely something looking into. Right Hand Ministries, hey, Shalom, Shalom. So that's a cool brother there. Shit, I always get him mixed up with a Bible defender. But yeah, if there's any questions or comments, do feel free to get those in now because I'm only going for maybe 15 more minutes. Wrap it up, probably about an hour sounds good. Let me just grab a cup real quick. Oh, man. Trying this Monster Reaper drink. It's like a banana flavored one. I believe I had this before, but I haven't had this in probably like 2 years or so. Just happened to have one at the back of the fridge. I was like, I'll just grab that. There we go. Yes. What do you think about Jeremiah saying it was a curse being born to steal labor? Well, I'd say it goes back to them curses, right? Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, right? Saying that we'd be cursed in everything that we do. That's why whenever our people try to establish a business, it typically doesn't go very well. And whenever we bring home wages, as it says, I believe it's Haggai, it says that we earn wages to be put in a bag full of holes. Right. And that's what living in modern day Babylon is, right? When you bring home your paycheck, it's already spent before you even get it in the damn door. Right. It's already shit. In many instances, the check's already spent before you even cash the shit. It's like funny. It's like, I get tired of people always saying, my household, oh, it's going to be a hard week. It's going to be a hard week. It's like, bro, you've been saying it's going to be a hard week for like literally the past 8 years. I get tired of hearing the shit. You know what I'm saying? Get tired of hearing the shit. Oh, going to be a bad week. Bad week. Sure, it's a bad life, right? It's a hard year. Right. That's what you should say at this point. Instead of saying it's going to be a hard week, say it's going to be a hard year. Just so I don't have to keep hearing the shit every other day. You know what I'm saying? Clean Bean said, that's a new name. They said, have you seen Gerber Johnson's videos? They're pretty good. He talks about the crappy job market and dating market. I believe I have seen his videos. The name does ring a bell. So I believe I have seen his videos before. Yeah. One channel I would recommend checking out is called The Philosophical Gamer. Yeah, if you look him up, he has like 33,000 subs. And yeah, he has a pretty good channel, talk about the economy, Gen Z and, the corruption in this, work environment and all that. Recommend checking him out. Once again, that's called The Philosophical Gamer. Just grab a drink real quick. Man, this Reaper ain't that bad. Paid a $1.25 for that. Yeah, it's crazy how much some of these damn drinks are going up, man. Like I went to Wawa up the road, and I just out of curiosity I checked what they want for a Monster or for a Red Bull or a C4. I don't really like those, but just check them. Like the damn Monsters were 4 something. The Red Bulls are like, 4.90 for one. Take shit for one. It's crazy, man. Crazy how much they want for just one. What do you think of anti um how do you pronounce this? Natalism? Says the womb is a portal to hell. Curse I didn't die in the womb or at a young age. You quote in Job the third chapter when he speaks about that he wishes he would have died in the belly and never saw the light of day. From Job the third chapter. Um yeah, as far as anti natalism, I've never heard or looked into that before, so I can't answer exactly. But what you're saying there sounds like what Job said in Job the third chapter. Thing being asked, what do you think we should do? Go full neat and F the system, or get a useful degree or trade, or get lucky with job connections? I mean, hell, man, you know, I think at this point we should just go total neat mode, right? Just F the system, try to get by on whatever you can. Maybe you can do some odd jobs here or there. Maybe you could start a YouTube channel, get some revenue, do some gigs on the side, do what you can, maybe move in with some family members. You know, Around the world, man, a lot of people move in with a large household so that even if there's a lot of people there and have to share the space, you pay a lot less per person. Like, say, for instance, I remember back in Florida, the trailer park, there was like Mexicans there, literally like 18 people in one house. But hey, look, even though it's crowded as hell, at least the multiple families together are able to afford everything and put money to the side. So that's not a bad idea if you can, get some people you might be able to split some rent with or whatever, some utilities. It's hey, that's what you got to do to survive in modern day America. aka Babylon. You got to half-ass shit. Gotta you gotta just go with the flow, man. You just got to do what you can to get by. That's what I can say, man. Yeah, everybody's doing bad out here. Nobody's doing okay in America. Well, except maybe the 1% that has it all. Did you know that like the 1% of people in America, they have more wealth than the bottom 50% of the population combined? Let me say that again. Let that sink in. The top 1% that run America, they have more wealth than the bottom 50% of Americans combined. Think about that. That seems pretty effed up if you think about it. Okay. Let me see. Clean Bean said, apartments for one person are expensive, but if you have a few friends or truther buddies as roommates, you hit the jackpot. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. That's definitely a smart way to go now. Try to, move in with some buddies, maybe split the rent and utilities. Everybody can save a little bit of money. You know what I'm saying? So, and have to work less to get that smaller amount of money. So, hey, these are some of the things that you got to try to do. Like hell, man. I'll tell you, I used to live in a small trailer home, right? It was a, believe it or not, it actually wasn't bad. It was like a double wide, but it wasn't a house. And it was only like $700 a month in rent for that. That was a really nice damn place for 700. I mean, shit, if I was to ask today how much they want for that place, I bet it now it's probably about $1,200. Now I remember the owner was offering to sell it for like 18,000. So family always regrets not buying that trailer home when he offered it to us. Um, for 18,000. It was actually a really nice place. Really decent deal if you think about it. Of course, the problem would be if you do own it, then you got to take care of it. And if anything goes wrong, it's up to you to fix it because you own the property now, or at least the home on the property. Um, so there are many downsides of owning a home or a trailer or something, but there's many good sides as well. So you just gotta weigh the pros and the cons, and come to a conclusion. This brother said, I wanted to move off the grid and make an Israelite group. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. It's definitely not a bad consideration. Hell, I know this dude. What's this guy? Kent Hovind, right? The owner of Dinosaur Adventureland that does these like creationist debates. He has like a whole community that live over there in a Dinosaur Adventureland, right? Or some of these other Israelite pastors on YouTube are making like communities, right? Like in Africa or something. So there's ways to make it work, but a lot of would be better in like developing countries, right? Because stuff's cheaper there, and it's land's more affordable there compared to the states. So it just depends on the situation and circumstance. That's the way you gotta look at it. All right, here, give me a second. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, right hand ministry. All right. We are at an hour here, so I'm going to wrap this up in maybe 2 minutes. Then I'm gonna binge watch some YouTube here. Let me tell you something. I literally have over 10,000 YouTube videos in my watch later. I have two separate channels. On each, you're only allowed to have 5,000. So I got to have like, 3 damn accounts, just to be able to add videos to the watch later. So yeah, I have like 10,000 plus videos that I have to, at some point watch or delete. Oh, he said, "Is Manny? Yeah, how you doing, Manny? I thought I saw you last week. You were, or a couple of days ago, maybe 3, 4 days ago, you were here. Are you like changing your name or something, man? I mean, hey, if they want to change their name, you know, that's their choice to do. But yeah, it gets hard to remember everybody. When everybody's changing their name. Like, say, for instance, LOP always does that, or Ruby. Inside joke, right? Ruby always does that too. and they expect you to know who you're talking to. It's like, dude, how the hell am I supposed to know that it's you guys if literally every other time that I'm seeing y'all, you are named like 20 different things like in 1 week? You know what I'm saying? It gets difficult. By the way, has anybody seen Perry the Preacher and what he's doing? Like, is that knucklehead still doing anything on YouTube, or is he in jail again, or is like he strung out on drugs or something? Or like, well, what the hell is that knucklehead up to these days? Shit, I don't even know. I don't even know. Said, yeah, I've deleted my channels and changed my name 1,000,000 times. A lot of people don't know that I actually had a different name before this. Like, say, for instance, I heard somebody say not long ago that, oh, well, yeah, ETT's always been ETT. It's like, no, I haven't always been ETT. That's what you know me as. But years ago, I went by other names, such as, say, for instance, I went by Age Anonymous was my name for a couple years on YouTube. Then I rebranded after I lost my channels to End Time Teacher. And actually, before that, I had another name as well. I used to call myself Yahawashai is King. That used to be my YouTube channel name, right? So that used to be my channel name. And then I want to say maybe 5 years ago, I changed it to End Time Teacher, and that's what it's been ever since. And for the foreseeable future, that's what's going to remain as, unless I make another channel, which could be a possibility due to all this censorship that's going on. Clean being asked, do you mainly watch truth related stuff on YouTube? No, I watch some truth related content, but not all. Like, throughout my life, I've been using YouTube since I was like 5 years old, right? YouTube came out when I was 3 years old, right? So I've been constantly using it and watching it since I was five. So throughout my life, I'd say that I've probably seen like 25,000 plus YouTube videos, right? A couple thousand of them, I'd say maybe 5,000, have to do with, the truth related, a couple thousand more with Bible topics, GMS or, educational content, stuff like that. Some's entertainment, some's prepping, some's historical, some's just, you know, uh, again, just random stuff. So yeah, it just depends. But yeah, I watch certainly um, some truth related stuff on YouTube. That's primarily where I get that information. I don't watch TikTok. I don't watch Instagram. I don't use Facebook. I don't use um, Snapchat. I don't use, all this other shit that's out there. The only thing that I do have is Discord, but I don't watch anything on there. I just, have that to contact some individuals outside of YouTube, if you get what I'm saying. But yeah, man, that's I guess that's it. Inside joke. But I guess that's it for now. Oh shit, bear with me a second. Let me see. That's ironic. Apostle Gabar just uploaded a video. entitled "The Great Millstone is the most controversial above all Israelite camps," and I agree with him on that. I do agree with him on that. I think that Great Millstone, under the leadership of Apostle Dahar on down, is the number one Israelite camp out of all of these camps. Now, sure, that doesn't mean they're correct on everything they say. Clearly, there are, 3 or 4 differences that I'd have compared to, what they teach, but by vast majority, what they teach is in line with the scriptures, and compared to these other camps out there, they're the most on point group. But of course, take what they say with a grain of salt as well. Like say for instance, they'll say, "Oh, 100% truth, 100% truth." It's like, nah, you got 10% lies and 90% truth. I think that's a fair um, estimate to give them, right? Or a fair conclusion for the group Great Millstone is that they have 10% lies and 90% truth. I think that's a reasonable percentage to give them. I believe I've been watching Great Millstone for like 9 years. Been watching Sakari for like 6 years. ICPK, I've been watching them for maybe 4 years. But again, a lot of these camps you got to take with a grain of salt. Sometimes they'll give you some good information, sometimes they'll give you some nonsense information. Like, say, for instance, Azariax from the ICPK is a very talented man, right? A very good speaker and very educated. But they'll tell you some lies too, right? Tell you some nonsense. Like they teach that in the ISUBK that John the Baptist fell out the truth when he died, right? He didn't follow Christ. It's like, well, what the hell y'all mean he didn't follow Christ? Like, I don't get that. Like that's such a retarded and ignorant thing to believe. Or these Genesis guys, right? These dropouts out of the Zachari that made Genesis. Now they teach that we won't even live forever in the kingdom, right? Oh, you'll live for like 100 years and then reincarnate in the kingdom. It's like, no, bro, it says that we'll get eternal life, right? Like literally read Matthew 19. Christ told the apostles that, since you gave up all these things for me, you're going to receive, wives, your islands back, your homes back, and you're going to gain eternal life. I mean, it's so simple. This is what the Bible teaches, that you get eternal life in the kingdom. It's not for 100 years. I mean, shit, there's people in the world today living for over 100 years. Hey, how you doing, MMA Paradise? How you doing? Yeah, that's a good slogan, right? Eat the meat and chew the bones, right? Take the meat and leave the bones, right? That's a good one, as I said. And do that with all these different groups, right? Take what they're saying that is true, and learn from that, and what they say is wrong, discard of that. Again, whether we're talking about Great Millstone, ISUPK, IUIC, Sakari, Genesis, Sons of Thunder, HOI, and all these Christian organizations as well. If they say something correct, you can learn from that. If they say something incorrect, well, cast that to the side. And that's how we all have to be in these times. Don't just believe everybody that you see on YouTube. YouTube allows every numbskull and idiot that has access to a phone and internet to upload or stream on. So just because somebody is saying something on YouTube doesn't make it true. Just because some numbskull is sharing his personal opinion or um, ideas on YouTube doesn't make him true with what he's saying. And more typically than not, the numbskulls that don't really know shit, they get the views and get the attention. But yet, meanwhile, guys like myself who know the shit and are actually speaking truth, and telling the people what's true, we get cast out to the side, right? We got our channels flagged and censored and have to watch all the words we use so we don't get completely taken off the platform. It's such a double standard, but it shows you who's teaching the truth and who's teaching a lie. Like, why is it that Peregrine's not being censored? Why is it that Genesis isn't being censored? Why is it that Catholic Answers isn't being censored? Could it be because they're telling lies? Why is it like that people like myself are getting censored? Could it be because we're telling something's true that's hitting a nerve with YouTube? Could it be because we're pinching someone's nerve and we're, in other words, stepping on someone's toes here, telling people what they don't want you to know? I think that's the answer. But anyway, I think that's going to be the stream today. If anybody made it to the end of the stream, put hashtag meet, right? Hashtag meet if you made it to the end of the live stream. But anyway, with that being said, everyone have a good day.